Hi, and welcome to another video from aplaintruth.info. Today we're getting more in number 4 into deceptive language, hidden meanings, basically on the work of Chiron Last, over 6 hours of presentation. I'll include in the show links. Now he gets into the theory that we are being used, our humans are being harvested for energy, and that they go back and forth between the flat earth world and the last 500 years of a round sphere orbiting around the sun, and then back to flat and back to round, circle, square, circle, square. Also, he follows the Zachariah and Stitchin work of the Anunnaki that came down here over 100,000 years ago and used our DNA to convert us over and are using us and mining us for our energy.
And this extended story that I'm going to be telling, this generalized story about human origins and the events that took place in our ancient past, is put together from different Sumerian and Akkadian accounts. And what we're really talking about here is precursors to the biblical tradition that went into much greater depth and detail regarding the accounts of what they had witnessed. And then in the biblical texts, these accounts get watered down, a lot of detail is left out, and you don't get the real underlying gist of the story about what happened. It's very fragmented by that point. So that's why I'm essentially going to use some of the Sumerian accounts as the reference material to tell the outline story. All right, called them gods, supernatural entities, giants, watchers. Okay, and as this slide says, the Sumerians called them Anunnaki, and that word in their language literally means those who came to the earth from the heavens, but not heavens as in just the sky, as in deep space, from literally off-world. And they arrived on our planet in our ancient past. And there's many different dates that researchers have speculated, and alternative historians and alternative archaeologists have talked about going back hundreds of thousands of years. Probably the most agreed upon time frame is somewhere between 400,000 years ago to about 250,000 years ago.
So that was from Mark Passio on what on earth happened, and he gets into the Anunnaki and the Zechariah Stitchin, who is known or is heard to be a 33-degree Freemason, about aliens coming from another planet or another world to help save their world by mining for gold. And hundreds, thousands of years ago, they hybrid our species to use for slaves with animals, and that's why you see a lot of documentation and hieroglyphs and whatnot of a eagle's head in a human body, or a centaur with a horse body and a human. This is all real according to the Sumerian tablets, or some of the earliest tablets that have been left for our current world that we know of the ancient writings, who talked about the Anunnaki and them coming here on Earth to mine the gold, especially in Africa, and then taking off, but leaving their religion, leaving us with their money system, leaving us with their legal system, and that it's still in place today. And then they basically left us, put a dome over us, and left us home alone to see how we would turn out. And this is what is happening hundreds of thousands of years later. So whether you believe it or not, it's not to determine, but more about to take the information in when you hear the different uses of our language and how they've taken the single language and trying to build the Tower of Babylon into a single language so we could all talk to one another, but being broken up into the many, many different languages. And Chiron Last is putting back together this language using many different native languages and tongues to derive how the English language is being promoted as a universal language, as foretold in the Georgia Guidestones. And I highly suggest that if you don't know about the Georgia Guidestones outside Atlanta, Georgia, that you check out the American Stonehenge or Georgia Guidestones and their 10 Commandments. Someone had very serious intention in putting these things up. All right, so let's get into Chiron Last and more of the words or swords, hidden meanings behind our deceptive language.
The occult is all about meeting death, which is the hidden one, because death cannot be seen until one has died. When people say Amen at the end of their prayers, they are literally acknowledging the hidden aspect of death. Death is our individual reset point, as compared with the overall reset point of this entire construct. And just like any game, when you hit reset, you start back at the beginning to play the same game all over again. This conjoins the number 22 with the number of paths, 22, that exist in the Sephirot, or Kabbalah Tree of Life. Many people have experienced what is known as the 1111 phenomenon, which is also correlative of the paradoxical beginning-ending point of this matrix reality construct. 11 plus 11 equals 22. In truth, the reason that the controllers and archontecs of this false reality need to continually readjust this reality with an ultimate reset point is because we are not meant to be prisoners. They are trying to reconcile the great contradiction of freedom and slavery. One can never equal zero, and slavery can never equal freedom, no matter which way it is spun. This is another hidden meaning behind the black and white checkerboard pattern of Freemasonry. They are the complete opposite dualities of good and evil in the paradox of this construct, and another occult meaning of the symbol is that the pattern represents the binary code of this matrix. One is white and on, and 0 is black and off. Continuing with the number 22, when we divide this number by the sacred planetary number 7, we get 3.142857 and continuing on, which is the Diophantine approximation for the equation of pi. In tarot, there are 22 trump cards, and the Fool card is often the last major arcana in these decks, but it can also be represented as a 0 for the first as well as the 21st card. This correlates with the biblical book of Revelation, which ends on verse 22:21, while the next verse would have been 22:22, showing the paradoxical duality of beginning and ending at once. The last word in verse 22:21 is Amen, which is the ancient Egyptian word for hidden, and is the literal reason for all hidden knowledge being occult to the general public. The word occult is derived from the Latin occulte for secret, and occultus meaning hidden, secret. Not so well known though is the connected Latin word occumbo that translates into English as meet with death, to meet one's death, whereby the last 5 letters of cumbo are again interconnected to the Latin cumba, meaning skiff, small boat, especially that in which Charon ferried the dead across the Styx. This would be the link to the ferryman or boatman of the dead, and is also the actual basis for the supposed spiritual song from the 1920s, Kumbaya. A matrix is furthermore a mold from which a relief surface is made. This gives another revealing collocation, the fact that relief is acquired for those who have been given surface from the Phoenicians' archon controllers. For those who are now drowning in the sea of the dead and crying, "Boat us! Boat us!" they are provided relief once they are given surface, as the Latin word boatus tells everyone, with the meaning of shouting, bellowing, roaring, loud crying. That's another sick and hidden meaning behind the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem, with the wall symbolizing the walls of the moon, which is the craft that picks up those who are shouting, bellowing, roaring, and crying for a David to bring a boat and save them. They provide relief re-life with the craft known as the moon, because they are the controllers of this reality, and they are fishing for spirits by trolling the depths in the sea of the dead. This is why Freemasonry is called the craft. Many corporate symbols also show this aspect of fishing for spirits by using the moon. Another anagrammatical word found in dream is mare. Mix up the last 4 letters of reem in dream, and this is how the word mare is found. And this supplies the basis for the horrendous dreams known as nightmares, because the moon is the Trojan horse that was given as a gift to humanity to be taken over by an extraterrestrial race. This was done through a deceptive contract known as marriage, which is practiced unwittingly by the general populace. The entire poem known as the Iliad, written by Homer, is nothing more than an allegory about the regeneration and rebirth cycle of humanity through the Trojan horse moon construct. The ETs could not defeat humanity, so they created a gift which supplanted a hormonal construct inside the genetic disposition of humanity to manifest their version of the universe onto us, while trapping everyone inside a cyclical rebirth process to be used as food, electrical energy. The affidavit cry for help from the savior star of David. In commerce, this is cognate with the term service, because service is surface, and when someone receives a service, they get a feeling of relief. In terms of the dead spirits drowning in the sea of the dead, they are provided with the service of a moon craft to be given surface and liberty, which is a short shore leave. This provides great relief, shown by the anagram of relief, which is re-life. And after life, there is evil, or the mirror opposites of live and evil.
El in Hebrew means God, deity, or power. El is a prefix for the house of gods, as shown through the Hebrew Elohim. The latter portion of this word, when read right to left, translates as sea, indicating to us once again that Elohim is God of the seas. And this is where we get Bibel, Madel, title, hell, hello. It's also where we get the words elite, electric, illicit, elections, eloquent, elephant, electrocute, electric, Elohim, and elbow.
We are now manifesting this reality as shown by the Norse mythology moon god known as Moni, while the Old Norse Icelandic Moni also means moon. This is because the moon creates lunatics, clock ticks while we talk, tick tock talk, and maniacs, moon alternating currents. The ACs in maniacs is the alternating current of electrical energy that we are creating for the ETs inside the moon construct, and the phonetic ticks in lunatics are the ticks on our lifetime clock that is paradoxically counting down our time while counting up the ticks of metered electrical energy that we produce. This is shown in the Latin word manicula, meaning little hand, denoting the little hand of the moon clock, as compared to the big hand of the Saturn timepiece. The moon is the little Trojan horse, as displayed by the Latin manni, translated into English as pony, because the moon pony is the small horse or little hand of the Saturn moon matrix clock construct of timekeeping. Our energy is sucked out of us as we age through time. And this was the key that the ETs needed to make their matrix energy construct work. As we believe that we are aging, we decay. And the word K from decay quite literally means key, while the Dutch and Norwegian de or d translate as the. Therefore, decay is the key. the Freemasonic key to